The views and opinions expressed in this channel are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the views of our guests. The views and the opinions of the guest do not represent nor reflect the views and opinions of the Lockoutman channel, nor its host. Our guests' opinions are their own. This channel is for educational, entertainment, and informational purposes only, and utilizes fair use materials in accordance with applicable laws.
Told you it was going to happen. What'd I tell you? I told you guys it was going to happen. I said it in the last video, in the video before that about the situation. I told y'all. I'm telling you, Florida is one of those states that you don't want to fuck around and find out in, especially if you're a commercial truck driver. Listen, seriously, I know there's been plenty of accidents down in Florida that involve semi-trucks. And those lawyers down there, those billboard lawyers down there that y'all be seeing all on the I-95, all on the turnpike, ain't no joke. When you see a billboard of a smiling face gentleman saying that he can get you millions and millions and millions of dollars, you better believe it. I'm for real. You better believe it. The one carrier, luckily for them, they was able to get it overturned, but the one carrier was hit nuclear. We talking about in the millions. Now, I forgot what trucking company that was, but they just recently had the case overturned. Well, I don't think they had the case overturned. I just think they just had the amount lowered because it was a major trucking company, and they was saying that, hey, we know what's up. We know how it goes, but God damn it, man, that's a lot of money. I'm telling you. So it's crazy, drivers, because like I said before, Florida is just not that state you want to fuck around in, for real. Imagine yourself driving down 95, right? And the person behind the wheel that you was driving next to, you come to find out that number one, he wasn't even supposed to be in the United States. And number two, he had limited English. Now, I'm saying limited English, quote unquote, because the one video actually showed him speaking English pretty well. But just imagine if that was the case, because maybe you just didn't know that at the time. But listen, the Attorney General is now going after the carrier that employed that driver, and he's putting foot to neck. Let's get into it.
You want answers?
I think I'm entitled.
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth!
So drivers, our story begins with the tragic crash that happened in Florida back in August, where truck driver Harjinder Singh, who was not only in the U.S. illegally, but was unable to speak English at the time of the court proceedings. Now, we seen in a previous video where he was pulled over for speeding, and he was talking English pretty well in that video. But when he was at the court appearance, it seems like it was convenient that he needs an interpreter. Allegedly, he was unable to read the sign that says no U-turn, right? That same U-turn that costed 3 lives. So Harjinder Singh somehow, some way, held a license from both Washington State and California. This is raising major questions like,
How, Sway? Take a few.
did someone with limited English and questionable training was able to pass the required standards for commercial truck driving license? Well, I could probably tell you. I could probably tell you. I could probably have a thought on that. And my thought is, he paid for it. He paid for it. It was brought and paid for from the inside. They had some people that was doing some questionable things with the license, and he was able to get his license. As a matter of fact, there's a story that about 8 people in the DMV. Hold on. Look at that boy. That's crazy. Y'all see that? That's crazy. That's exactly what we're talking about. Those type of drivers right there. Those type of drivers right there. We're talking about him, that driver. Speed limit right over there, 5 miles per hour. let me stop for a minute and talk about what just happened a few minutes ago, right? Speed limit right here, 5 miles per hour in the distribution center. Now I'm right here at the distribution center in Indianapolis. That's not the first time that a driver comes up in this area right here speeding, like literally speeding. We as professional truck drivers like myself know that coming up in the area like this, we know it's going to be congested with not only other trucks, but it's going to be pedestrians all around in this situation. And you coming up in here speeding and stopping like you just did is a cause for a disaster. And eventually it's going to be a terrible situation where you're going to maul down a couple of people that works here. And it's not just happening here, but it happens at all other distribution centers, that these truck drivers just don't pay attention to what they're doing when they're in an area like this. Again, 5 miles per hour. Maybe he didn't know it was 5 miles per hour through here, but as you can see, that sign right there that says 5 miles per hour, there's a sign on the ground that says 5 miles per hour. And it's a sign when you come to the gate that says 5 miles per hour. So how you not knowing the speed limit when you come up in this area? As a professional truck driver, you should already know to go slow in areas like this anyway. Maybe he just didn't know how to read, or maybe he just wasn't paying attention, or maybe he was just being distracted. But that happens all the time, And what would happen if tragedy would have struck? He probably would have got out of the truck. He probably would have said, oh my God, I'm sorry, I didn't know. But how could you not know? There's 5 miles per hour all over the place. You just choose to do the things that you do. Now, unfortunately, it wasn't no consequences made on that driver. Maybe it will be, because the person that was sitting behind the desk, she was out here when she saw it happen. So, of course, he has to come in and do the paperwork. Now, he could have probably just been turned away. His company probably would have been called and said, hey, your driver is over here speeding in the parking lot, don't care about the safety precautions that we have laid out in here, and we don't want him back. And that's fair, Now, maybe the company would reprimand the driver, or maybe not. We will never know. But I'm just saying, situations like that, situations that happen in Florida, are all based on truck drivers' choices. We all have a choice, and when we make that wrong choice, it's the consequences that we have to live with. Let's get back to the story. So Florida's Attorney General announced that they are issuing both civil and criminal subpoenas against the black op company, White Hawk Carriers. Now, let me stop right there for a second, because I did mention in the last video that they probably went underground. And I kind of knew if they hadn't went underground already, they will be going underground soon. Because when this was released, the news networks reached out to White Hawk Carriers only to not get an answer from them. So are we going to hear from them? Are they gone for real? We're going to find out later. And drivers, Florida are demanding answers from both Washington and California. And oh, hey, don't forget Illinois. We got to put Illinois into that. You know what I'm saying? Florida, you got to put Illinois in that equation. How many others like Harjinder Singh are out on the road? Plenty of them. There's a lot of these drivers out here. How many commercial licenses have been given to people who don't meet the requirements, including the English proficiency? And I'm here to tell you, plenty of them. See, the Attorney General point is blunt, right? Florida is ready. They're ready to fight the legal fight, not just to the companies who hires those type of drivers, but to the states that issue the CDLs to them. Drivers, so I called it back then. Florida is the one state that you definitely don't want to fuck around and find out in. They don't just talk, they back it up. And when you mix trucking with politics, it's never just about one crash, drivers. See, with Florida, it's a whole freaking statement. See, drivers, this whole situation that's going on right now is raising a whole lot of tensions within this industry. On the one side, you got safety, English proficiency, testing, and the public trust. And on the other side, there's labor shortages, there's black op companies that's willing to cut costs and cut corners across the board, and states out there with looser licensing practices. And as a result, there's drivers who never should have been behind the wheel in the first place, and drivers that are being pushed to the extreme out here by these black op companies. As a truck driver, such as myself, knows the dangers out here on the road, and we all know how dangerous a U-turn can be out here on these roads. It's one of those moves that is a recipe for disaster. So drivers, when you hear that a truck driver haven't even been trained properly or is unable to understand the rules of the road, it makes that tragedy in Florida hits even harder. And here's the bigger takeaway, drivers. Black op companies who keep hiring up under the table, pushing unsafe drivers and doing unsafe tactics are about to find themselves in the crosshairs. Florida is the one state that is not to be played with. So drivers, this case is going to ripple and is going to continue to ripple. See, if Florida wins this fight, and I believe they will, it could pressure other states to tighten up their CDL process and make these black op companies think twice before taking on unsafe and undocumented drivers and doing unsafe and shady ass practices. But at the same time, drivers, it also could fuel this political battle over immigrations and labor shortages in trucking. I said it before, drivers, and I'll say it again. When safety get compromised in trucking, it's never about numbers, it's about lives. Something to think about. I hope you guys stay safe out there. Until next time, drivers.
What do you think should companies be held legally accountable for hiring drivers who don't meet basic standards? Or is the real blame on the states that issued the CDL in the first place? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you've got a story from the road, send it in to lockoutmenpodcastguest@gmail.com. See you in the next one.